All right.
Welcome to the Mid-Ohio Valley Public Forum video podcast. This podcast features issues of interest to the residents of the Mid-Ohio Valley area. The coronavirus pandemic has changed life greatly throughout our country, and that includes civic life.
And this is an election year. And one of the big changes is that candidates can't get out and campaign the way they normally would. So they're used to going to all kinds of public events and meeting and greeting and shaking hands. They can't do any of that.
Nope. So many of our initial podcasts will be interviews with candidates for local and state office. If you're a candidate and you're interested in being interviewed, please reach out to us either through our Facebook page at the MOV Public Forum or via email, movpublicforum@gmail.com.
Today we'll be interviewing Brooke Lunsford. Brooke is a candidate for governor of West Virginia. Welcome, Brooke. We're so glad you could join us this afternoon.
Kim, thank you, and Jennifer for letting me be here with you all.
With that, we'll dive right in. Give us your best 1-minute introduction pitch speech.
All right. Well, my name is Brooke Lunsford. I'm running for governor, as you said. I'm a lifelong West Virginia resident. I went to college in West Virginia. I grew up in Cabell County, which is on the western end. I went to college in the middle of the state in Kanawha on the Kanawha County, Fayette County line. My degree is in accounting. I've been in business in West Virginia all my life, having grown up in a family-oriented business, grocery business. So I'm just a lifelong guy. I've seen our problems. I saw what they were 50 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago. And I think as Kim lined out, you know, after you've been around this 5 or 6 decades, you kind of ask yourself, when are we going to make a change? And so I'm hoping to make that change. That's why I'm running for governor.
So all candidates are different, Brooke. What skills, knowledge, experience do you have that sets you apart from your competitors?
Well, that was another reason for running. My number one reason, and we'll get to, I know, but it was foster care, because I can't believe we have 7,150 kids that can't get a warm, safe place to sleep. But you're exactly right. When I looked at my experience, having started numerous businesses over the years, I thought, man, we need new business in West Virginia. But we hear a lot about broadband. 20 years ago, I went to Columbus, Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio. I worked for Ameritech Telephone, Sprint, AT&T, and the largest telecommunication companies in the country, over 10 states. And we did the fiber optic cable revolution 20 years ago. So West Virginia, we're, as we've said many times, I guess, over the years, we're 20 years behind the times. We need to upgrade our broadband. And it just so happens with my insurance business and with my real estate development and with the broadband and health insurance experience, all these things kind of come together. And it's just the type of issues we need to have answers to right now. So just perfect timing.
So what's your main motivation that made you decide to step up and run for office now?
Well, I ran for state senate last time, and I had kind of donated my time off and on for the last 19 years to public schools. And I knew kids had it rough, but I had no idea that we had 7,150 foster kids in the system in West Virginia, and we have 400,000 foster kids across the country. So I developed a plan, and I took it to the governor's office. I sat down with Bray Carey, who was his right-hand man, and, oh, yeah, this is good, and, yeah, we're going to work on it, and here, go talk to this one. They ran me all over town, but they never did anything. And now I don't even hear anybody even talking about foster care anymore. So that was my number one issue for putting me in the race, was to take care of the kids.
What do you think is your wow factor? What is the one thing about you that would make someone say, wow, I'm going to vote for that guy?
I think it's Jesus first on my campaign signs. Not everybody goes for that, but, the Christian should be the safest, most honest, most ethical person that you could ever deal with, because they're told to even love their enemies. So there shouldn't be anybody in the world that gets a better treatment from me, than a Christian would treat somebody else. Do unto others, right? Did we grow up on that? do unto others as you would have others to do unto you? I mean, isn't it a good time for that, to just have a little kindness toward other people?
I think there's always time for kindness. If you're elected, tell us one thing you really want to accomplish during your term in office.
Well, we formed a nonprofit after we ran for state senate last time. And right now we need jobs, and we're going to continue to need jobs. If you go to the WVU economist, Mr. Deskins, if you've seen the magazine, Executive Magazine, that comes out, I think it's once a month in West Virginia, he talked about only 54% of our workforce in West Virginia, only 54% of the people work, which means 100% of the people use the facilities, but 46% contribute nothing to that. He talked about if we could get 1% of that workforce to go get a job, that it would add $900 million a year to our economy. So if we were to add $900 million a year to the economy, it would just be a wonderful thing. So we developed a jobs grant for 100 people for $3 million, for 1,000 people for $30 million, or for 10,000 people we can hire for $300 million. Now that sounds like a lot of money, but we have something called a rainy day fund in West Virginia, and it's got $860 million in it. I don't know about you, but it's not raining in West Virginia. I think it's pouring, and we've got to do something right now.
I'm over 6 decades old, and I think every single candidate for governor that I can remember has said, we need more jobs in West Virginia. I'm going to bring more jobs. Yet here we are. The state continues to shed jobs, and people become poorer and feel more hopeless. So what do you plan to do to accomplish what others have promised and not been able to do?
Mm-hmm. Great question, Kim. And here's the answer: is I've already submitted this to the Appalachian Regional Commission. This jobs grant that I just outlined for you, they've already got it. I've already talked to the development department in West Virginia Development. I've talked to Ohio and Kentucky and Tennessee, South Carolina, and Florida, because the whole country is in need of jobs right now. So it's not that I can't do it. I've already sent the grant in. And I've already got Congressman Carol Miller's people looking at it. Joe Manchin's people are looking at it. All they've got to do is fund it, and we'll create a job. So you're exactly right. People have told us they're going to do. Mine's in. The plan is in from A to Z, and how the jobs are created, and they can choose 100 jobs, 1,000 jobs, or 10,000 jobs. So you're exactly right, but I can do it. I've already outlined the plan and sent it.
So this question's for my brother, who lives 15 minutes outside of one of the largest cities in our state and does not have access to high-speed, reliable internet. The lack of that is holding our state back from becoming what it needs to be. What's your plan for getting affordable, reliable, high-speed broadband internet access to every corner of our state?
My sources for that, I work with people in Ohio, as I said earlier, doing this. If you look at some of my Facebook posts and some of my web pages, I had a directional boring machine, and we still do the fiber optic cable from time to time, depending on the jobs in Columbus and Cleveland, Ohio. I can bring in people today that specialize in this and have developed most of the systems for wireless and cable in the state of Ohio. The parent company for that is South Shore Cable up in Parma Heights or Cleveland, Ohio. My contact for that is Chris Yeager, and he's developed most of the systems around. So that's what we would do, because right now we've got Frontier, we've got Suddenlink, we've got all these companies. And for example, look at all the money we gave to Frontier, and then they didn't perform. And now they're either in bankruptcy. 1 week they're going to be, but I think they did finally file it, if I recall. So we've given all that money out, and it's gone. And now they've not done what they said they would do. We've got the same issue going right now, because there is some broadband money floating around. But if it's not coordinated, as you're saying, you're just going to have all these, it's almost like cables sticking up all over the place, but they're never going to connect to anything. So you're exactly right. It has to be somebody that has done it, that knows the people that can do it, because politicians prove every day that they can't really do much. We get people elected, that have no desire to serve. And I don't want to be negative. My whole goal, and that's one of the reasons Jesus First is on the sign, is to keep me from never being negative. Because right now it's really hard, to not be negative. But I do have the experts in everything from the healthcare to the broadband, and I will not sleep till we get results on those things.
Everyone knows that West Virginia has been steadily declining in population for decades, and our best and our brightest get educated here and go elsewhere. People from other places tend not to move here. What's your specific plan to turn this population loss around? And we talked about jobs and broadband already, but what else do you hope to do?
Well, it's amazing to me. The whole state of West Virginia, our western side, has water all the way along it. You all are mid-Ohio Valley, so I don't have to tell you all anything about it. Is there one development between Huntington, West Virginia and the Kentucky state line and all the way to Hancock County? Can you all think of something? I don't know. One real development on that river. Is there one? Because I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't have a clue. But here's what I would do, and this is once again, I have a plan for each of the 55 counties, and one of them is to build 100 houses in each county that are affordable. And affordable housing is a house that costs between $100,000 and $190,000. If you notice, I live in Cabell County, and I do some business in Kanawha and Putnam in the housing and real estate business. There is never a new house built that's freestanding. You might get a condo or a townhouse, but there's never a freestanding house you can buy for under $200,000. Have y'all noticed that? It's amazing. So if we build that, for every 100 houses that are built in a community, it brings $29 million to your community. So every county could afford 100 new houses. The banks need to chip in on that. But the other thing is, I discovered this through the nonprofit I started. There are hundreds of millions of dollars set aside that are in a pool that are allocated for affordable housing, and there's no reason that we can't do it. People are going to come out of New York City. They're going to come out of Pittsburgh. They're going to come out of these big cities, man. When this virus, they've already tried to take over our campgrounds. Remember when we had to shut them down? People are going to come out of these big cities. If we'll build something, they will come. And I believe that with all my heart. That's my quickest way to get new money into West Virginia, is to have a house ready, and it'll be affordable enough. It could be a second house. It could be affordable enough to be a rental cabin if it was in a state park or something like that.
So we've asked about what we see as some of the major issues facing our state. Aside from what we've already talked about, what do you see as the other three largest problems facing West Virginia, and give us your nutshell plan for how to deal with them?
Well, we all know what the problem is. We don't have the jobs. Our people get to good degrees and then they go elsewhere. But what we've got to do is come up with a job that anybody can do and grow into a career, and that's what our jobs grant did. If we develop these cabins and tiny homes, I don't know if you realize that, but the tiny homes is a phenomenon that's going on around the country, and people are basically building these little houses that you can pull around on a trailer, and that's become an industry. That's an industry that our CTE schools can do, our welders can do it, our builders can do it, the electrical, the plumbing can be done. So we can create an industry. If we build these houses to the National Building Code, then we can sell them and ship them all over the country. The other thing we do is we put them in the state parks. Our state parks generate $236 million a year in revenue for West Virginia. And the thing is, 65% of that money comes from people that live in the state. So we've got this beautiful land. It's earmarked, meaning it can't do anything but be a state park. We've got the equivalent of 1,200 rooms, which is about the number of rooms you see at an average exit here in West Virginia, for hotel rooms for 37 state parks in 55 counties. So we don't have enough rooms. We don't have enough things to do. But every time we put $1 into tourism, it brings back $13. So the quickest, newest money to get in there is to get in these state parks, because we don't have to pay for the land. We already own it. but it's to build the cabins. It's to get affordable housing in each county. It's to get the jobs grant going, because if I restore the family and I give you a job and you work the job into a career, you're more apt to stay off of drugs and the addiction thing. You're more apt to stay with your family. You're more apt to stay with your kids, less kids in foster care, and it builds the whole state up that way. That's my plan. I preached it from day one, and I mean, I won't preach it all the way through, because it deals with everybody. It gives everyone an opportunity. Because I'd love to tell you we needed to hire 1,000 engineers in West Virginia right now, but the truth is we don't have the jobs for that. So that's kind of where I would go with that. I have to start on the ground floor, because there's a whole lot more people down here at the ground floor that need help. You know, not saying we don't need help at the top, but the people at the top seem to, whether it's move out of state or they come up with a plan, it's the people that have lost hope that we need to turn their hopes around and then raise their standard up and get them back in the game. I think will help us a lot.
So we are often our harshest critics. This is a two-part question. What do you think is your worst quality? And what do you think is your best quality?
My worst quality. I'm a project person. So like on the term limit thing, you won't have to ask me not to run again. Like if I'd win once or twice, you know, some of these people have made a career out of being politicians, but I've got a short attention span on something. I like to solve a problem and move on. So that's a big plus when you're solving the problem. But then, and again, you know, when you've lived in West Virginia like I have, it's a detriment at the same time, because you go through life and you're like, man, you know, should I just quit doing everything and focus on one thing? So I guess that my biggest problem, maybe it's ADD if it's got to be clinically diagnosed. But at the same time, due to all those experiences, it puts me in a great situation right now to be uniquely qualified to work in healthcare, to work in the broadband, to create the jobs, to get on the ground floor with the foster kid thing. So now, you know, I guess I've grown and I'm getting old enough to see that I've come full circle, and all that bouncing around now is an experience that can work for West Virginia.
Well, with that, we'd like to move into some personal questions. So these are not about you, the candidate. These are about you, the person.
Okay.
What is your single most favorite thing or place in our state? And don't say the people. People aren't a thing or a place. We all know we love West Virginians, but we're looking for your favorite thing or place.
Well, I love the mountain drive up through there. I like Alpine Lake Resort over in Terra Alta. It's in Preston County. It's a great example of a place. It's got a beautiful view. It's got tons of land there. And just looking over the mountains, you can drive up through the mountains. I mean, and you're actually driving on top of the mountain. So it's just beautiful landscapes. I like all down that Blue Ridge Parkway. I love the drive down through there because it's beautiful countryside. And the same thing up Route 2, you know, the river. I mean, we've got the most beautiful river, this Ohio River, and it's not being used for anything. And, excuse me, you can get up over some of these, you know, back on these mountains and look down on this. I mean, we've got this beautiful scenery. We need people, and it just, I mean, maybe it's because I've always lived here, but we've got more than everybody else. Why do we have so much and struggle so much, as Kim was saying? That's my thing. Beautiful place.
So what are your own personal core values?
Well, Jesus First says about all I can say. In March 1997, I got saved. And I don't try to push Jesus down people's throats. But at the same time, Jesus told me there in a couple places that if I was ashamed of him, he'd be ashamed of me. So if I don't tell people that, hey, there's a difference about me, not because I want you to watch what it is, but I want you to see how I act toward other people and that I care about other people. I mean, we've got some multimillionaires running in this race. Do you really think they care about the guy on the bottom? Because let's be honest, you usually don't get rich caring about other people. Let's be honest with that. I've been in groups like the Rotary International, the Chamber of Commerce, the Gideon's International. I'm a Paul Harris Fellow with the Rotary. I mean, you have to, you don't just, you're asking me personal questions. You don't just show up and decide, well, I'm going to help everybody. It's either something that you have and there's a reason that motivates you to help others, or you don't help others and you're running because you want to put the governorship in a trophy case at your house. So it's personal for me.
What are you as an individual passionate about?
It's these kids. I mean, I can't imagine. Do you realize a foster child at age 18 is out of the system? Can you imagine where you would have been without your mom and dad if at the age of 18 they would have met you at the door and said, sorry about your luck, you're out of here? That just amazes me. So not only that, but we say that we're working on it when we have 7,150 kids that don't have a safe place to sleep tonight. Those kids get anywhere from $90,000 to $180,000 a month for all those kids. I think that's right. Is that 7,000 times? 7,000 times, maybe it's 600. Anyway, you can do the math on it. I've got all the numbers. Maybe I might be getting them mixed up. But all this money comes in to take care of these kids, but yet nothing's happening. And it just breaks my heart to think that, if I treat somebody like a dog and I treat them like a dog and I don't feed them and I don't get them a shower and I expect them to come to school and I expect them to learn, and then at the age of 18, oh, there go the signs again. At the age of 18, I just kick them to the curb, and then we wonder what's wrong with society. So that's my passion of the children. I've spent 19 years in public schools. I know all there is to know about public schools too. And I know what we need to do to help these kids.
So on a lighter note, what do you enjoy doing on your off time?
I don't have off times. I mean, I'm a project person. I mean, I've always been like that. I guess it was growing up in a family-owned business. I mean, we just always had something going on. I've got a wife. She's a wonderful person. She's a doctor at Cabell Huntington Hospital. So nobody knows more about what's going on in the medical realm than I do. And you add that to my insurance business, I think it makes me pretty well rounded in that. I've got one daughter that's going into 10th grade. We're super proud of her. So, I mean, I'm just as average gets, I think.
Well, maybe you're not quite so average. Tell us what's most unique about you as a person.
Well, I mean, lots of experience. But what I do is I see a problem or I see something coming, like fiber optic cable. We had heard about that. My brother and I heard this is going to be a big business. And 20 years ago, we went on a Saturday and looked at a piece of equipment. We'd never worked outside. So we rented this piece of equipment on a Saturday. Monday morning, we show up in Columbus, Ohio, working for Ameritech Telephone Company in November of 1997. And we started this business, and it went into 10 states and, for however many years it was. And we still do it today. So I can take an idea. I can see what we need. I can see something that's coming. I can develop a program like we went and developed this business, and it went and it made money. And so that's what's probably unique about me is, if I wanted to make $100 tomorrow, I'd come up with a way to make $100. And the thing is now, I'm getting older, and the thing is learning and teaching somebody else how to do it. And I think we really need that desperately in West Virginia right now.
Well, with that, we've come to the end. We'd like to give you a few minutes to tell us and the voters anything else you feel like we need to know that we may have missed, and include how to get more information on your campaign, how to get involved, get in touch with you, donate, etc. Okay.
Kim, Jennifer, I really appreciate you all taking the time to get us all on here and try to get the news out. LunsfordForGovernor.com, and that 4 is a number to kind of break all those letters up. So it's LunsfordForGovernor.com. Call me on the telephone. It's 304-638-6563. Find me on Facebook. We do a lot of Facebook Live every day. I try to start with a Sunday school lesson, and then I try to follow that up with a little campaign speech after that. But here we are in West Virginia. We're falling into the same situation. We've got millionaires that want to run that really don't want the job. I'm offering to take the job. I'm offering specific things. And as you said earlier, what makes you think you can produce jobs when everybody else has promised jobs forever and not produced them? I can send you the grant right now that we've already sent it. We've already promised 100 jobs, 1,000 jobs, 10,000 jobs. Now you tell me why that the economic development people in West Virginia, they ought to be all over me right now giving me a check because of this virus situation, because the money's there and this could be done. And I'm right with you, ladies. So many people talk about it, but they've never done it. I've created jobs, I've created businesses, and it just so happens the insurance and the fiber optic cable or broadband and all this development of land and housing and tourism, it just hits right in my wheelhouse. So it makes me uniquely qualified to be able to help West Virginia at this time. I do appreciate your all's time.
Well, we appreciate you. Thank you for Brooke for coming and talking to us this afternoon and getting the word out to voters about your campaign and what you're all about. And everyone, remember, wash those hands.